What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate reverse rants, no hate. So check this out, y'all. Evander Holyfield versus Vitor Belfort. Look, I've been seeing like a lot of crazy thumbnails. Holyfield gets KO'd in one round. This happened, that happened. Holyfield gets destroyed. All right, okay. Here's how it went. Holyfield pretty much cannot respond the way he needed to. It's as simple as that. At 58 years old, first thing I was watching, like I noticed right away, was his hand positioning. Hands low down here. His reflexes are not what they used to be. His head movement is not what it was. If it was, he wouldn't have got hit with those shots that he got hit with. His balance looked, you know, his legs look, I'm not going to say weak, but his balance definitely wasn't there. You see the way he fell, he didn't even look hurt. He just looked like he was like shocked, like, you know, even the way he went down. I think it's a case of he knows what he should have been doing, or trying, you know, what he wanted to do, but he just couldn't do it. So he feels like the fight was stopped too soon. Okay. Holyfield also knows when you are getting hit with shots like that, especially after getting dropped and you're not throwing back, that there's a strong possibility that the ref is going to stop it. Especially considering the fact that he's 58 years old. He said after the fight, you know, the guy asked him, if you saw it, he was asking questions. One question that he asked Holyfield's response had nothing to do with the question. And at the end of the day, man, he basically said he'd fight the guy again so he could show him. And at some point you get to an age in time where you're still imagining what you want to do, but you just can't do it. So if they did do it again, I mean, it is what it is. I'm pretty sure it would make him feel better if they did it and then he got the win. Like, okay, he got me, now I got him back. He didn't want to go out like that. He didn't want to go out like that. And I was saying to people, now, even compare what we saw with him versus Mike Tyson and Roy Jones. It was completely different. Mike didn't let go on Roy, and Roy didn't let go on Mike. It was basically, they held back with Vitor Belfort and Holyfield. It was, they really went to go at it. But you see how slow Holyfield's punches were. You see how slow he was on his feet, his body movements. And like I said, the low hand positioning. I said, yeah, this don't look good for Holyfield. You know, his hands were too low. And, you know, it's not like he was trying to catch and shoot. It's like he was just trying to see the shots. Now, I don't know if some of that was just he was confident because he's the boxer and, you know, Belfort is not. But I don't think it's necessary for them to do it again. And even if they did do it again, to do it against people of those caliber of fighters, you know, it is what it is. Holyfield signed up for it. He knows what it is. You know, we all often say we don't want to see fighters get hurt, and we don't. But again, it is what it is. And truthfully, it's the type of situation where if guys are signing up for fights, you know, they got to be ready. And we know that Oscar De La Hoya was supposed to be the original opponent, and he was sick with COVID, so Holyfield was replacement. Now, Vitor was much bigger than Oscar, but it was a situation of Holyfield being, you know, came in, what, 225? Vitor came in at 205. So, he's bigger. But still in all, Holyfield, people can say if he didn't get caught that shot, he probably would have, you know, did this or that. Then people start bringing up Mike Tyson. Imagine what Mike would have did. Like, you guys still think Mike Tyson is 21. You still don't realize it. Mike is past his prime, and so is Holyfield. Whether Mike would have beat him or not, doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. He fought Vitor, he lost. And like I said, if he want to do it again, that's understandable. That he wants to do it again. If Vito's down for it, if people feel like there's something that they really want to see, because this would be redemption for him. But let's just be honest, y'all. At his age, I don't care how much muscle he's able to build. I don't care how cut up he can get. He can get in the best condition of his life. Not at 58, but you know what I'm saying. Okay, regardless, let's say if he could. The skills, the hand speed, the timing, the reflexes, all of that, you could see is not the same. Holyfield had no answers for that. And pretty much, if he gets in trouble again, what is he going to do? Probably the same thing. Just cover up like he did. And he wasn't even covering up. He wasn't no head movement, just covering up. Nothing, just standing there with his hands up. He was trying to move, but he couldn't. So, you can't expect too much out of him, regardless to what he says. The reality is, he lost the fight. And that's that. So, this Triller thing is cool because you give people a chance to go out and still do what they want to do. We just seen Chavez against Camacho Jr. a little while ago. You know, you got different people coming back and being able to go in there and do it again. But overall, it gets to a point where you just get a certain age where it's like, nah, it's just gone. So I really don't think, personally, I mean, it's not what I think. You know, it's up to each individual what they want to do. I personally think Holyfield should really not get back in the ring. That's just me personally. I just think he shouldn't. I think even if he did better, let's say if he lasted longer this time, I think Belfort beats him again. Holyfield had nothing. Nothing. Vito did nothing special. Holyfield just couldn't handle what he did. So, it's not like he's going to get faster. His reflexes are going to get any sharper. His timing is going to be... He can't do it anymore, man. Can't do it. When has that ever happened to Holyfield? Not even professional fighters could do that to Holyfield. And, you know, Vito is an MMA guy that, you know, got in there and he beat Holyfield because Holyfield, he's not what he used to be. Not even close to that. Okay. We seen Tito Ortiz get knocked out in one round while Anderson Silva. A couple of months ago, Anderson Silva just beat up on Chavez Jr. And in all honesty, when you look at the outcome, you think, you know what? They should have put Anderson Silva versus Vito, and then put Holyfield versus you know, Tito. But you know, that fight was already locked in. And look, what happened, man. Tito, even in his prime, he really didn't have the best chin, you know. But you know, lately, past for some years now, he hasn't had a good chin. He got knocked out. I mean, he was like out of it. Like he was dazed. He didn't know what the hell was going on. And it's just one of those things, man. You know, we can't look. One thing is this, right? I look at the event and say, okay, it is what it is. But for the people that's sitting here thinking that just for one night they're gonna be able to turn the clock back, that's wishful thinking. But these guys can't do what they used to. It's as simple as that. So when you are watching these fights, and it's kind of cool, get the legends back in the ring to a certain degree, but you always got to understand that these guys, 58. I mean, Holyfield's the oldest out of all of them that has came back. Him and Chavez. You know, Mike 54, Roy what 52, 51, whatever. It's easier for someone who's been away from the sport, not taking punishment, but still training and keeping their bodies in shape. Holyfield trains and stays in shape, but it's not the same. And at his age, I doubt that he's sparring, like really heavily sparring, and there's no need to. You know, so getting back in there and getting punched again, and you know, because he's saying it wasn't nothing, you know, before that, it's just like fighting anybody else, and he's thinking how he used to think. But what he is capable of doing and what he thinks he could do is two different things. So I know there's people, I mean, Holyfield fans will probably be like, yeah, man, yo, one more time or whatever. But overall, I just think that Holyfield doesn't need to get in the ring again. Tito Ortiz did what he did against Anderson Silva. There's no reason for him to get in the ring with someone that's as good as Anderson Silva, because he's going to get knocked out again. Tito, one of his holes in his game when he was in MMA was he was easy to hit. He's not a guy that really know how to avoid punches, you know, and basically he's not used to moving his head. You know, he himself said, you know, you don't really move your head in MMA because you wind up getting kicked or elbowed or getting taken down, right? So he's not used to moving his head. So he's going to always be there to get hit. So at the end of the day, the majority of the guys he had trouble with in MMA were guys that could punch, that threw a barrage of punches. So what we saw was guys way past their prime, walking the aisle one more time. Whether it's the last time or not, we don't know. But that's what we saw. We're not seeing like some resurgence, man. Like, yo, these guys gonna come back and all of a sudden it's gonna be the same stuff. Don't get it twisted. You guys have not seen Mike Tyson come back and have a real fight. That what he did with Roy Jones, that was puppy child, man. Stop playing games like no. Mike Tyson goes in there and he gets in there. Well, how is Mike Tyson now? 54, 55? Okay, so Mike Tyson goes in there and let's say he fights a retired fighter that's 40. Huge disadvantage. Like people was talking about Mike versus Klitschko. Well, I'll tell you what. Klitschko, I'm not expecting the same Klitschko that showed up in his very last fight, which was still damn good. Okay? But whatever Klitschko has left in the tank, we don't know. We don't know. But compare Klitschko's last fight, and he was 40, right? 40, 41, or whatever it was, versus Mike Tyson at 38. So all this talking about, oh, Mike Tyson is different now. See, he's refocused and all this shit. And I'm like, where the hell y'all get this shit from? Because people in his camp tell you this? Because they're trying to sell the fight between him and Roy Jones, so you guys are still really believing Mike Tyson can go in there and still go like he used to. Okay. I feel like if you're getting there with guys in your age group, you're getting there with guys where, you know, Holyfield and look, they didn't have on headgear and 16-ounce gloves. So, you know, Roy Jones and Mike didn't either, but you could clearly see in that fight that they were both holding back. Clearly. You know, clearly. And Roy Jones could barely even bend his legs, man. He could barely bend his knees. So if Mike Tyson was anything close to what everybody, oh, Mike is back, he would have destroyed Roy Jones, because Roy Jones is nothing like what he used to be. Bad knees, can't move like he used to, turning his head, looking away from punches, and you know, I mean, you know, it is what it is. Anyway, just wanted to get that out. And I feel like once these guys really have an understanding that it's better to be safe than sorry, I mean, it's their choice. But like I said, as soon as a boxer gets hurt really bad, somebody, you know, starts, you know, my condolences. And Holyfield already stutters when he talks. He already stutters a lot and has like a hard time trying to express what he's trying to say already. So the last thing he needs is to be getting in there, getting more punishment. And that level of competition, let's just be realistic. In the cage, Vito is not what he used to be there either. Okay? What he's not, for him to be able to just put it on Holyfield like that, and Holyfield couldn't get out of the way of this shit, he didn't have an answer for it. I mean, think about it. You know, but he said he'd fight him again. You know, and he'd show him. Had a chance to show him, and he couldn't show him. So, I just personally feel like Holyfield, it would be safer, brother, to just, you know what, let me call it a night. Because you know what you should be doing in there, but being able to do it, and like True, if the referee didn't stop it, we don't know. If the referee didn't stop, maybe he would have regrouped, maybe he would have, maybe. But it's all irrelevant now. So Vito got to win. Anderson Silva got to win. Maybe that's going to be the next two that they put together. Maybe. But Vito's calling out Jake Paul. And I don't know if that's the fight Jake Paul wants. Because for you to... Jake Paul probably would call out Holyfield now. He'll probably call Holyfield out now. I don't think he wants to fight, you know, he doesn't want to fight anybody that actually is dangerous to him. He doesn't want that. So, David Haye and his boy, Fournier or whatever, how you ever pronounce his name, his friend, he went there and danced around with him, said he didn't want to show all this stuff because he wants Tyson Fury. And pretty much a lot of people are feeling like Tyson Fury, we don't know, like, where he is mentally right now, because he's supposed to be fighting Wilder and we heard nothing from him. And even just to know that and for Haye to call him out, it's like, okay, Haye could be trying to just get more attention to himself for something else that he may have planned that he want to do. But listen, in short, in my opinion, Tyson Fury would beat the dog snot out of David Haye. You know, if David Haye feels like he's rejuvenated, he feels like he's a new fighter based on that, he'd go in there, probably make a good payday and get knocked out. And, you know, bottom line, we saw him, I mean, he couldn't beat Tony Bellew, who was a small heavyweight. He was small, you know, and doesn't even have any real power, which is why Haye was able to take those shots. You know, he wasn't even going down. Even in the rematch, he was getting rained on. He couldn't throw anything back. So, you imagine 2021, David Haye versus Tyson Fury. That should not ever happen. Shouldn't happen. I doubt that's even gonna happen. So, maybe with Haye making those comments, maybe he'll find himself in a position where he ends up fighting, you know, another type of fight like he did with maybe a more popular name this time. And maybe it gets attention and maybe he can, you know, get in there and mix it up and have a good showing. But other than that, I don't really see Tyson Fury truthfully wanting to fight David Haye. Like, why would he? It's just not something that makes sense. So, with that being said, people, it was just, I mean, you can call it what you want to call it. I don't know if you guys are entertained by that. It was just something to watch, really, and it is what it is. Never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hate out of people, and I will catch y'all on the next video.